All right, guys. So this is chapter 2 exam. I want to go over that with you right now. And then I'm going to have you work on the assignment, the activity for chemicals in the brain. Do not worry about the vocab. Okay. I just wanted to post that for you so you can get a head start on it if you wanted to. It's not due tomorrow. Don't worry about it. I know that might be something that you're thinking might be due tomorrow. It's not. Okay. Just the activities due tomorrow, like chemicals in the brain, and really how the hormones in our brain, neurotransmitters, kind of relates to, and defining it, comparing it. That is due tomorrow. Okay, that is due tomorrow. All right, so let's go over the exam that you just took. I will have those grades put in as quick as possible. I know content keepers down. It's tough. I understand, but it's something I will. It'll be over quick, so we'll figure it out. But let's go over the exam right now, and we'll move forward with chapter 3, and I'll get you started on that activity. All right, controlled group. Well, here let's start out with the definition. The knew it all along effect. After an event has occurred, seeing the event as being predictable, despite having been little objective basis predicting it. That is what we know as the hindsight bias. An experiment where both the subject and the person administering the experiment do not know the nature of the independent variable. That is a double-blind study. Research in which we choose subjects based on pre-existing conditions. Ex post facto. This group, the group that is not exposed to the treatment, that is the controlled group, not exposed. The group in the experiment that is exposed to the treatment, experimental group. Sample obtained in such a way that reflects distribution of important variables in a larger population. Representative sample. The measured outcome of a study or the response of the subjects in that study. That is the dependent variable. Stimulus condition that the experimenter changes independently of all their carefully controlled conditions in the experiment independent variable. One group or subject is studied for an extended period of time to observe changes in the long term. That is a longitudinal study. There it is. I couldn't find it right away. What is one method researchers use to conduct surveys? So this one might be a little tricky, but it's phone interviews. You got to call someone. You got to ask them questions. Okay, experiments? No. Laboratory observations? No. We need to ask questions about a certain topic where we can gather this information. I know I gave the example of flyers, Google form you can just send out through email. You can do survey on social media. There's a lot of different things that you can do to perform surveys and conduct surveys. But for this one, the list, phone interviews. In order to confirm the results of their experiments, researchers need to do this first. Replicate. Replicate. What is an example of a naturalistic observation? Observing a wild turkey walking in the woods. White hunting. While hunting. I need to fix that for you. Yeah, so while hunting. So obviously it's not a lion in a zoo. That's not its natural habitat. And my baby snapper turtle in the aquarium tank. Not in its natural habitat. Why are psychologists afraid to generalize based off of case studies? Each case is similar in approach to learning. All cases are kept under tight government regulations. Each case can be vastly different in its circumstances. There you go. Each case can be vastly different in its circumstances, depending on the subjects, depending on the variables, depending on maybe confounding variables that could happen or alter your study. Which of the following best describes cross-sectional method? All right, so this is researchers compare differences and similarities among people of different age groups at a given time. So you're gathering information from different groups of people, different subjects at one given time. You're supposed to eliminate the time expense like a longitudinal study would have. And at the same time, you're trying to gather this information in a way that will represent your subjects based on their age. So obviously with a longitudinal study, you're studying that one person, one subject for a course of time. Cross-sectional, you're just trying to study groups of people at that age level and determining the results from that, which obviously with different subjects, you could have different results. A correlation is a measure of how closely one variable is related to another. There you go. Relationship. A placebo is a treatment that has no effect apart from a person's belief in its effect. Confidentiality in experiments is important to control the dependent variable, follow unethical standards within research, keep record private about research. There you go. Keep record of private about research. Okay, we don't want to give that information out. Obviously, if it's something that maybe triggered a negative response in a subject, we don't want that information getting out. Maybe it's information that is very private or personal, whatever it might be. In a longitudinal method, researchers study participants over extended periods of time, study participants in natural settings, study participants in laboratory setting exclusively. Obviously, that's a little bit tricky, but study participants over extended periods of time. Select what graph represents a positive correlation. Positive, okay, from the chart, the activity that I had you guys do, and I posted a video as well. Positive relationship. We can see weight and height. Okay, obviously, the taller you are, okay, the more you'll probably weigh. Okay, it's just obviously in many cases that's not all true, but with a positive correlation, the relationship shows in an uprising method to the right hand corner, and we can see the points very close together, showing that there is a positive relationship. Negative, weight and exercise. Okay, so a negative correlation, we see the dots, we see the data points representing in a downward slope. Okay, downward slope, showing that there is a negative relationship with weight and exercise. Okay, which is true. And then we have a no correlation. No correlation. So what does that say? Size of television, average time spent watching TV in a week. Tell you what, if I don't have a huge TV to play Avengers, probably not going to enjoy it near as much, right, Rooster? Right, Forney? It is what it is. But obviously, with that, the two variables do not relate, and the correlation shows that there is scattered points all over the place. Okay, that there is no positive relationship that is tight together, tight packed, going up towards the right, or a negative going down towards the bottom. Okay, they're not tight together; they're all scattered around. Those are those three questions. So there you go. What is a dependent variable in the statement? Students watch the cartoon either alone or with others. So this is obviously how funny the students rated the cartoon. Result, remember, dependent. What is the independent variable in the statement? Comprehension test was given to students after they studied textbook material in either silence or television turned on. Textbook material and silence or television on. It's changed independently depending on the two subjects, obviously. What is the dependent variable in the statement? Some elementary school teachers, blah, 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 child's grades, dependent variable, child's grades. It's what we're measuring. What is a single blind study? What is a double blind study? What is the difference between the two versions of experiments? So single blind study, we already know this, guys, is that the experimenter, he knows who's receiving the placebo, who is the experimental group, control group, whatever it is, okay? And the participants do not. Double blind study, no one knows who is receiving the independent variable. No one knows who is the control group. No one knows who the experimental group is. No one knows who is receiving the placebo. There you go. Determine the difference between independent and dependent variables. Explain both variables. Independent, change independently. Okay, this is something that the experimenter changes within the experiment. Okay, this is the manipulated variable, right? Dependent variable is the measured amount. Okay, what measurement we're going to have from the study. Okay, this is the measured variable, the effect. There you go. There you go. Hope you guys did well on it. All right, let me just close that. Okay, and then real quick for tomorrow. Well, today. Sorry. This is the vocabulary. Posted that for you. The PowerPoint for the chapter. And then finally, we have the activity I'd like you to do. So there's chemicals in the brain. Okay, the hormones. Just answer these questions here. Complete the chart. You're going to need to use your You're going to need to use your iPad, obviously, to search some of these different types of chemicals in the brain and how to relate it, type of chemical, what is a control or influence, what happens if this chemical malfunctions. All right. So I like you guys to complete that. Use your textbook, use the internet, okay, use the PowerPoint as much as you can to complete this activity. All right, guys, there you go. Sooner or later, I'll be back. Can't wait. It's getting ridiculous. I just want to be back. Oh, yeah, well, we'll get there soon. We'll get there soon. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Have a good one.